Thank you, Marge, for that beautiful introduction. And that is very true. And actually, I have a video, but it's not working today. But I do have a 1-year-old puppy who's a Samoyed. He's beautiful. That's about the only thing he does, though. Besides that, he's out of control and he does not listen to us. And I keep telling my husband that we're due to have our first baby in November, and I keep saying our child better be better behaved than our dog is, because otherwise he's not giving us a good indication of what our future holds in terms of parenting. Taking photographs of women is a privilege, one of the hugest privileges that I've ever had, but capturing the essence of a woman runs so much deeper than just clicking the shutter. So today I'm going to talk to you about your why, about finding your why, about the importance of identifying it and how to use that to market your business and how to turn your passion into purpose, and by doing that, result in huge profit both personally and in your business. So the first question I have for you is, have you ever come to a point in your life or in your business where you felt burnt out and drained? Anybody? Am I the only one? Because I can't possibly be, right? In a room full of women entrepreneurs, I know there's got to be at least a couple of us. Well, I've been there, and it wasn't until I got in touch with my why that I really turned my business and my life into something that was life-giving instead of life-draining. So today I want to talk to you about the reasons behind my why. I'm going to explain what my why is, and at the end I'm going to challenge you to also find, and we're going to write out what your why is. Because when we are able to define our why, everything we do has purpose, and we enable ourselves to create a life full of meaningful purpose, and our business also in turn has purpose. You see, I believe in empowering women to be who God created them to be. I believe in honoring the struggle of womankind while recognizing the irreplaceable and imperative role that she holds in this world. I believe in creating a society where women are confident enough to embrace their femininity without feeling like they have to give up their dignity. And lastly, I believe in her story, that she has a story to tell, that her story holds incredible value, and that above all else, her story needs to be heard. I've always believed those things, but it wasn't until a few years ago when I decided to launch this brand of my business that I started putting my beliefs into practice and started doing something with my life that truly had meaning. As Marge said, I 7 years ago moved back from Copenhagen, Denmark. I had been shooting since I was 11 or 12 with photography, just for fun. Never in a million years did I intend on doing it full-time as a business. Put all of my eggs into one basket, starting this wedding photography company. It exploded into something that I certainly did not foresee. Having a not even full degree in Bible and theology, having been homeschooled, I certainly had no idea what it meant to run a business. And so this wedding photography thing took off. I was loving it, but something inside of me was still missing. I loved being there documenting people's wedding days. I still love being there documenting people's wedding days. But there was something inside of my heart that just wasn't being fulfilled. And I've always had a huge heart for women. And so I decided to turn that side of my business, or to launch a side of my business that was a little bit more purposeful and a little bit more in touch with who I was as a woman and in touch with my heart's calling. So I'm going to share with you a few stories today, and one of them is of a woman named Eleni, a man named Rich, and his mother named Laura. So 3 years ago, this engaged couple walked into my living room. I've always maintained a home studio, so I invite clients into my home, bake them cookies, or attempt to make them French macaroons. I usually fail at that, but usually try and make them something homemade. They came into my living room. They told me the heartwarming story of how they met. So Eleni was a nurse. She's a hospice nurse down in Fairfield County. And this woman named Laura came in, and she had been diagnosed with cancer 7 times in 7 different areas of her body. So talk about a cancer survivor. This woman had been through it all in terms of cancer. And Eleni was her nurse for half of that time. And one day, Eleni was in her room, in Laura's room, and Laura said, "You need to meet my son, Rich, because I think the two of you would hit it off." And so one day came along, and Rich was there, and she said, "Go see if that nurse Eleni is out there." So they came in, they met, they hit it off. The rest is history, as I'm sure you can imagine. And in August of 2013, Rich and Eleni married at the Barns at Wesleyan, and I had the tremendous honor of photographing their wedding. So the week leading up to the wedding, Laura was once again, I think this was her 6th time of being diagnosed with cancer. she was not doing well. She was, in fact, on her deathbed. And Eleni called me about 4 days before the wedding, and she said, I just want you to know that we are not sure what's going to happen with Laura. We're not sure if she's going to make it to the wedding. We're not sure if she's going to make it at all between now and then. So I'm just letting you know because I don't know what we're going to do if she passes between now and then, but you've been an important person to us, so I just want to let you know what's going on. I didn't hear anything from them the following few days. So the morning of the wedding, I assumed that the wedding was still on. I showed up at the bridal suite and I said, how's Laura doing? And she said she woke up this morning and she looked at everybody and she said, I am making it to my only son's wedding if it's the last thing that I do, because I want nothing more in life than to have my mother's son dance with my son. And so that night, oh gosh, I'm going to get choked up already. I'm going to blame it on the pregnancy hormones. That night, because I've told this story a few times to a few different people, that night they got up and Rich practically had to carry his mom. He walked over to her and picked her up and held her. And there they danced on the dance floor to the song, I'll Stand By You. And there was not a dry eye in that room, including this photographer who had to try and take clear pictures. It was without doubt one of the most memorable things I've ever experienced and been a part of. It touched me so deeply that I started realizing as a result of that experience that I had to start photographing women and their stories, because she had such an incredible story. The connection that she had with her daughter-in-law, Eleni, was phenomenal. Many of you are probably married, and many of you probably know that mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws don't always get along very great. But these two had such an incredible connection with each other that I knew that I had to do something to document stories like that. So from that, I decided to launch this brand of my photography because I found myself wanting to show women how to see themselves the way that other people see them. Somebody touched on that today. I don't remember if it was Marge or somebody mentioned it, that they didn't see themselves the way that the rest of the world saw them. And that's what I've always had a huge heart for. I'm going to talk about my mom in a few minutes and how that came about, but I've always had a huge heart for women feeling comfortable in their own skin, being confident in who they are. That's the first value that I put up there, is being confident in who God created them to be. And so I wanted to launch this brand of photography that helped women see their value and see their worth. The struggle, on the other hand, was that I could not find anyone to pay for a session. Because how many women want to get in front of a camera by themselves without their children and spend over $1,000 to get photographed, even if they're going to be really pretty pictures, or they see the really pretty pictures of their friends, but they're not really that pretty themselves, and we've got all these reasons and excuses. So how many of you feel like you have something that your clients absolutely need, but you've struggled at one point or another to get them in the door and to get them to pay for your services, right? Hello. Once again, every one of us. And you believe it so passionately and you know that they need it, but for whatever reason, there's a disconnect there and they're not understanding the value behind it. The struggle was really so real for me. And I knew that what I had to offer was something that every woman should experience. What we do is we take them in, women of all ages, all shapes, all sizes. That first year that I launched this, we photographed women ages 16 to 72, 95 pounds to 350 pounds, every shape that there was ever imagined of women. And we just truly tried to make them feel as beautiful as the rest of the world saw them, or as their closest friends and family saw them. What I learned is that if you're doing what you're called to do and you're passionate about it, the answers to these questions that I'm about to ask you are going to come very naturally. So what I did was I sat myself down and I said, where's the disconnect? Because I know that what I have to offer is very valuable. I know that every woman needs to experience this. So how can I figure out a way to market to them and to get them in the door and to believe that what I have to offer is something that they need? So the first question I have for you, that's one of my crazy clients that I love. She's a yoga teacher. She is 69 years old, FYI, right? She looks better than I do. She looks better than I did at 17. So I found myself wanting women to see themselves the way that the rest of the world saw them, as beautiful, life-giving, fun, vivacious souls. Sorry, I can't see my slides on here, so I don't remember where it is. So question number one, I want you guys to take out your journals, and I want you to ask yourself really quickly, What is it that you offer? So just write down, what is it that you offer? What is your product? What is your service? What is it that you offer? Go ahead and take a second to write that down. And because the timer's ticking, I'm going to tell you what I have to offer very quickly while you're finishing yours. So for me, I offer an exceptional experience to women of all ages, shapes, and sizes, where they come in, they get a full makeover, and we take the most beautiful portraits that they've ever seen of themselves. But more than just a portrait, I offer women an opportunity to see themselves the way that their children see them, the way that their husbands see them, the way that their best friends see them. That's what I have to offer. Question number 2 that I want you to also write down is, why do your clients need what you have? So just write down 2 or 3 sentences really quick. Why do they need what you have? For me, my clients need this experience because they need to be seen and they need to be heard. Women from a young age, Marge touched on part of her story that was very vulnerable, and I can say that I've had the same experience in my life, and probably many women in this room unfortunately have. And from a young age, we are taught through media, through messages, through people that we interact with, what we're supposed to look like, what we're supposed to act like, what we're supposed to be like. But most of us lose ourselves over the years in the process of becoming something that we were never meant to be because we thought that was the expectation put on us. So what I offer clients is the opportunity to be seen and to be heard for who they really are. And that's why, like I said, it's so much more than just getting a picture taken. It's this experience where they can identify a piece of their soul that has maybe long been lost. We've had clients come in that are going through recent divorces, who have been abused, who are going through cancer treatments, who have just been diagnosed with a certain illness. And we offer them the opportunity to feel beautiful at a time in their life when they might not feel that. Or maybe for some of them, they've never felt that way. I had a girl in last week that she cried in the middle of her session because she said, I feel so pretty right now, and I can't remember the last time that I felt that way. And I'm like, this is why I do what I do. It's not about the pictures. The pictures are fun. I love editing the pictures. I love seeing the pictures, but it's so much more about the heart side of it. But those questions that are up there will help you quickly define your why. And once you do that, you can figure out creative ways to reach your clients because now you've got your why. So I began to think of how women respond to sales pitches, right? We can see a sales pitch coming from a mile away. And so I didn't want to sell my clients. I didn't want them to feel sold, but I wanted them to see the value in what I had to offer. So naturally, I Googled, what are the most popular commercials for women? And one of the first ones that came up, some of you may have seen this, is a commercial that was not even in English. It was filmed in Asia. I see some of you nodding your head. Do you know what I'm talking about? With the mom and her baby, and she's on her phone a lot, and in the end, the baby just needs to be touched and held. And I think I saw that video on Facebook 18 billion times, always shared by my female friends. I don't think I saw a single guy share it because it connected with our heartstrings. Another one that was really popular amongst women is the Dove one, the Dove campaign that they did, where they had children describe their moms. I think it was Dove. Children describe their moms or draw their moms, and they had moms describe themselves, and they were two totally different scenarios, right? Moms describe themselves as crazy and chaotic, and they're a hot mess, and the kids are just like, she's beautiful, and she cooks a wonderful dinner, and they're so naive, really, but they're so well-meaning. Little do they know. So I began thinking of how women respond to marketing and how I can reach them best. And I'm not a marketer. I'm not a business person. So I decided to take this massive risk. I organized a cancer charity day where I think every one of us probably in this room have been affected by cancer at some point or another in our lives, whether we have a friend that battled it or lost a mother or a grandparent to it. I think everyone in here probably knows somebody, if not yourselves, that has been directly affected by this awful, disgusting, revolting disease. So I decided to organize a day where we took in a few women. I wanted them to tell their stories. I wanted to hear their stories. We gave them a full makeover. I work with a makeup artist who, in my opinion, is the best in the state. Her name is Erin Infantino. She's worked on a few of you in here. done her magic on you. So she came in, she did full makeovers. We took portraits of these women and we told their stories, or we shared their stories. Eleni and Laura, that's that part. Eleni and Laura were part of our Cancer Charity Day. So I had them come in. I had them share their story of how they met. I had them share the story of what they were going through. This was, I think, 8 months after they got married. So when she was at the wedding, I don't know if you remember the picture, but she was very thin and frail. I think she weighed under 100 pounds. And just a few months later, because she was on treatments again, she was swollen. And I'll share this in a second, but at the heaviest point in her life. So Laura and Eleni told their story. And during that day, we photographed them. We gave them a makeover. We laughed and laughed and laughed. We had such a great time that day. And I had a friend come in. I wish at this point, looking back, that I had a professional videographer, but I did not. I just had a friend come in and use my camera, and we recorded some stuff. And I want to show you a video from that day. So because we've had some technical difficulties, I need to switch over. So give me just a second here. And this is the video from our Cancer Charity Day.
My mom was, oh, I'm gonna cry already. My mom was my best friend. My mom was my biggest supporter of everything I did in life. And to know that that person was gonna be gone in 3 years was just like this can't be happening. But every 2 years, my mom and I used to have a ladies' day, and we'd go get our makeup redone, and we'd go shopping and have fun. She enjoyed life and everybody. She made friends wherever she went.
I said, please call me before I go on vacation. And he did. He called me that Sunday afternoon as I was packing, and he said, Mrs. Monahan, it's a breast cancer. And that was all I heard. When I found out I had cancer, I couldn't believe it. I just thought, why me? I'm healthy and I'm active, and I teach aerobics at a gym. I run. I ran 17 half marathons last year. I've done a few half Ironmans.
I met Eleni in the hospital, and she just peeked her head in and she said, how you doing? And I thought there is something special about her.
While treating and taking care of Laura, I met her son Rich. We fell in love and got married last August. The week before the wedding, Laura got really sick. My husband, all he wanted to do was make sure that he had his mother-son dance. She was so strong during that dance and did so good, the whole entire room filled with tears, and gave her a standing ovation.
I didn't want it to be over consuming my life. I wanted to do what I had to do, get past it, and live normal. Thereafter, I didn't want it to be a big burden on my husband, my sons, my family. Your life has changed. It's never the same. But you just hope to go on. My support was my 3 girls, which were my hair pieces, Roxy, Danielle, and Sheila, because I didn't want anybody looking at me, feeling sorry for me, having pity on me. That week that it comes out, that I would just take a shower, run your hands through your hair, and drop it down, put it into a bag, and I would cry every day. And I would just say, bye.
I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 21. When I first heard the news, I thought, like, no way could this happen to me. I'm young, I'm invincible. One way I coped with it was I met a lot of people through Facebook and Instagram and just a lot of other girls my age. My friends and family were awesome during this. They were totally awesome. If I could tell women battling cancer one thing, I would say just be strong, because one day it's all gonna be a memory.
Stay positive. Attitude is 99% of the ballgame. So you have to believe in yourself and you will beat it.
Have hope.
A few months ago, I received word that Laura passed away, unfortunately. She lost her, well, I'm not even going to say she lost her battle, because that woman fought harder than anybody I've ever met. She passed away early in the morning, peacefully in her home and surrounded by her closest friends and family. And within an hour of her passing, Eleni emailed me And before she posted anything on Facebook or social media, before she even contacted some of their closest friends, she wrote me and she said, I don't know if you realize this, but before we came in for our glamour shoot in May, Laura was the heaviest she has ever been. She was incredibly frail and weak and in general felt very ugly and unlovable. But that day we saw a light in her eyes that had been missing for a long time. She left that evening feeling like the most beautiful woman in the world, and that sparkle in her eye continued right up until last night when we said goodbye to her for the last time. Thank you for what you do. I'm not sure if you realize this, but the pictures that you take are so much more than just pictures. So that is a huge, huge part of my why. But because you're businesswomen, and I know I've already tugged on your heartstrings a little bit, I'm going to get really practical here for a second. That one event resulted in $50,000 worth of income and revenue for me that year. Just from posting that video on Facebook and from people sharing it. I did not go into it intending to make a ton of money. Obviously, I knew that it needed to be profitable at some point because it was a business and the business side of me knew that. I would do it for free my entire life if it was up to me. But my husband was like, you got to make a little bit of money. You know, we got a mortgage to pay and can't be eating ramen noodles the rest of our life. From that one event, I ended up booking $50,000 worth of paying clients that year. $50,000 in profit for doing something that filled my heart and my love tank. $50,000 to do something that I was so passionate about. And $50,000 that frankly was additional income that we had not intended that year. So my question for you is, what could you do? Sorry for the font, that also didn't transfer with the keynote. What could you do with $50,000 extra in your budget if you're doing something that you love and are passionate about? Isn't it worth trying to find your why and trying to pursue that? So, I'm going to share a story with you in a second. So my question for you is, why do you offer what you do? I am the eldest of, wait for it, 10 children. You guys have seen the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding? This is my big fat Italian life that my poor husband, who is an only child, somehow married into. For better or for worse, he probably often argues that it's for worse. Yeah. The oldest of 10 children, and I love being the eldest. It's like the best position in the rank. It's like top of the food chain. You're like right there with mom and dad. Raise the other kids. Not all of us in our family were born from my mother's womb. They've adopted 7 times over. So I have little siblings. The little guy in the front there in the maroon shirt is my youngest current adopted brother, and then the little tiny one on the right hand side, she's 3, her name is Chloe. They're going to be adopted this summer. So my parents are raising kids right alongside my biological siblings and I, which is a hot mess oftentimes. Okay, and I'll tell you why, because they don't raise them like they raised us, right? They were conservative and they were strict, and these kids get away with everything. Like, I mean, they've got season passes to amusement parks. They go out to dinner all the time. They get everything that we had to work, that we were taught to work hard for. I'm not bitter about it at all. I sit back and I'm like, we need to teach you guys how to parent again, because this is not how you taught us. But my mom, right there in the center, that little tiny Italian woman, she's about this and about as wide as she is tall. My entire life, I have watched people flock to my mother. She is fun. She's energetic. She is feisty as feisty comes. I'm a chip off the old block in that regard. Once again, probably much to my husband's whatever. She's an incredible woman. Her heart has never, I don't think it's possible for her heart to stop expanding, especially when it comes to children who have been orphaned or abused or neglected. My dad's pretty cool too, but my mom especially. People love her, but my mom, unfortunately, has only ever seen herself as one thing, and that is fat. From the time she was a kid, she put this label across her forehead of fat. She was the fat child, she was the fat teenager, she was the fat bride, and now she's the fat mom and grandma, or nana. And what killed me growing up is that I could see from a young age, everybody saw my mom as this incredible, incredible person, but all she ever saw was this one label, and she hid behind that shell. Whenever we would take a family portrait, she would grab the kids and pull them in front of her because she hated how she looked. She was always kind of okay with her face, but from here down, she just hated how she looked. And so I started this brand in my business also because of my mom. That is my why. My why is because of women like my mom who are amazing and incredible women, but see themselves in such a different light than the rest of the world sees them. So right now here in this room, I want you to ask yourself, and this we're going to take a couple minutes to write down. I want you to ask yourself, why do you offer what you do? So you've heard my stories. You've heard about my mom. You've heard about the clients that I've interacted with. Those are the things that keep me up at night. Those are the things that get me up out of bed in the morning. Those are my why. So I want you to take a few minutes. Dom, if you can cue the spa music. We're just going to take like 2 minutes, and I want you to write down whatever comes to your heart. Why do you do what you do? What is the reason that you wake up every morning? What is the reason that you go to work and pursue this day in and day out through the blood, sweat, and tears to get this business and this entrepreneurial thing to work? Why do you do what you do? Go ahead and write what comes to your heart. I offer what I do because I know that it reaches the heart of women and it helps them see themselves for their true worth and their true value. And that brings value to them. It brings value to my business. And most importantly, it brings value to my life. And for that reason, when people are that connected to your why, your business will explode because that's your story. That's your marketing. That is your everything that is you, that makes up who you are. When it's that ingrained into your business and when it becomes part of everything that you do, your marketing materials, how you word things when you post on Instagram, the colors that you use, the fonts that you use, when your why becomes part of every part of your brand, you'll find that clients will flock to you. And here's the cool thing about whys is that your why is different than my why. And your why is definitely different than your direct competitor's why because it's your story. It's you, it's your background, it's your history, it's your current life status, it's your passion, it's you and your story. And nobody can compete with that. And so that's one thing that I've learned in business is that if you can find your why and identify it and truly make that a part of the driving force, the engine behind your business and part of what really gets you going in the direction you want to be going, clients will flock to you because they'll see your heart in it. They'll see the purpose in it. It will give them value. It will give you value. The choices that you create will create a brand for you that is different from your competitors because it's your why. And your why is what makes you irreplaceable to your clients. So remember that. Your why is what makes you irreplaceable to your clients. Your why will add to your revenue, will add revenue to your business, but will also add meaning and value to your life. And for me, that is the most important reason on defining what your why is. Really getting in touch with that heartstring or those heartstrings in there and figuring out just the purpose behind what you do. Because when you do that, it'll add revenue and it will add value to both your life and to your business. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I ever got was when you make your business about serving clients, you will always have people that want to work with you. And I think that, my husband and I are very different in our business approach. He's got an MBA. I was homeschooled. And so when we approach business, he's great because it's the whole iron sharpens iron thing. But I'm always about the experience, the clients and all that. And he's like, you got to make it profitable. You got to do all this. You got to chart this course. You got to be strategy. But one thing that we can both agree on is that when you make your business about serving clients, you will always have people that want to work with you. And that's really an amazing thing when you don't feel like you're going out there every single day having to fight for this dream of yours and having to work hard for this dream of yours because clients will start coming to you. You'll still have to work. I feel like when you're an entrepreneur, the work is never done, unfortunately. But yeah, so today my challenge for you is to find that magic formula that comes to you by identifying your why. And then once you have done that, infiltrate your entire business with the reason and your purpose behind what you do. Because when you combine your purpose with your passion, you will find that it is highly profitable. And that's all I have today.